Right. That's what I'm saying. And that's
Do,
what I'm
do,
trying to
do.
do, because that's where I made the cake. You know, and I pop it out like this. Over. So I just cut it.
Hey, will you turn on the kitchen light so I can get a little bit of light?
Yeah. So
Thank
I
you.
just cut it and then served it up to me and her. I just it really wasn't pineapple. I cooked it.
Hello. So I am currently trying to get the gunk out of this pumpkin so I can make dinner tonight. And I figured while I'm doing this, I would go live, talk to you guys, and see how everybody's doing. I know a lot of us right now are prepping for events or get-togethers with our coven for Samhain, and it's a busy time. Did I hang up on her? You hung up on her? And the great thing is, I get to make pumpkin seeds later.
Okay. Now, what she, we were done talking, it wouldn't hang up.
You didn't have to hang up on my account.
Oh, no, I just told her, like, Mom, I'm trying to help out these truck right now. I'm trying to call you later. She's like, yeah, I got stuff I got to do right now.
So fun carving pumpkins. I love having like our little traditions that we do, but this one's for food instead of for spooky. I found a recipe for this like pumpkin stuffed stuffing that I'm going to try today. For me and the hubster, since the girls will be eating spaghetti at my sister-in-law's today. But the girls will have a fun time, helping me make the pumpkin seeds. Which last time we did pumpkin seeds, after realizing what we had done wrong, the first time we tried years and years ago. It's been a while. Apparently, you got to soak your pumpkin seeds first, or at least the recipe that I had found for our second attempt said so. And it worked a lot better when you actually, do that. So, anyone out there is trying to learn how to make pumpkin seeds, boil your seeds first, then put them in whatever you want, seasoning wise and stuff like that. Put them in the oven, let them bake. As far as baking times, you'll have to actually go and look at that because I think we did it at 350 or something like that. At some point you just got to say, forget it, and I'm going hands deep into your pumpkin, right? It's so gross. I was trying to do a live Saturday, but I had some technical difficulties, and at that point, I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done attempting to do it. Because yesterday I was kind of in the mood to do a live so I could have Sunday off, but I didn't do it. I did not do it. What? It baked it off? So yesterday, the hubster went to go make a cake. Pineapple upside down cake, to be exact. And he used one of my cake pans. Well, the cake pans that I got are professional cake pans because I got tired of buying those one pans and it just never seemed to come out right. So it's the ones that actually has the clips on the side. Well, he didn't clip it all the way. And then some of the batter came out. There was about a 30 good minute gap of frustration and me going, what's wrong? And him going, and he explains to me, like I just explained to you. And then it continues into frustration, to which I have to fight back the urge not to laugh, because in my mind, I didn't think that he had it on at all the way. But apparently he had it on enough to keep some cake batter in, but not all the cake batter in. So in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking he literally went to go move the cake and it all just came out, which would have been more funnier. in defense. So I'm trying not to laugh as he was telling me, and I could tell he was frustrated because when he gets frustrated, there's this little vein in his forehead that just seems to pop out, which I find highly attractive. I don't know. There's something about people being irritated that I find amusing. Maybe that's a little bit crazy, but I find the cuteness in the craziness. So I guess it's a good thing depending on how you want to look at it. The only thing that I don't like is the way this pie pumpkin is. Here I am trying to get its guts out and it's all sticky, but it's not like the kind of sticky that's like good sticky. It's the kind of sticky that's like, ew, I want it off. Sticky. So if you guys are going to want to make this recipe, I would highly suggest wearing gloves or having water or something for your hands to keep it moist. And for those of you who did not like that word, sorry. So as I continue to scrape, let's scrape to the bottom of what this year has brought. It's brought everybody chaos, obviously. And a lot of us have been dealing with that and trying to figure out how to, get out there and be around people without trying to die, nonetheless. Depending on what you want to believe. It's stressful. It has been, but I think that it's a growing experience for us all. We all take everything for granted. And I think it was one of those things where it's like, you can only take things for granted for so long before it takes something like this to happen for it to kind of put you in perspective. Because I think death also puts you in perspective, especially if you're close and, you've got that, what happens when someone close to you passes away. And if you don't prepare yourself, it's not as easy as you think it would be. It's like a learning experience, you got to kind of take it one day at a time. And we got so caught up in everything. And just like, if someone you love passes, over time, you forget the lesson that you learned of not every moment is going to be there. There's never a guarantee that, hey, there will be a next time or next day. And I think that's something that, even though it wasn't as, well, for some it was dire like that, but for a majority of people, you kind of look at it as like, well, people are being this or that. But if you think about it, it kind of gave us all a time to stop what we're doing and reevaluate ourselves and our relationships. There was this statistic saying that a lot of marriages and relationships weren't lasting, being captivated together. Captivated. I don't feel like that's the right word, but it does sound nice. And for them who had this experience, I think it's a blessing because you're sitting here and you're in a stressful situation. You're worried about food, you're worried about all this and that, and your primal instincts kick in. And it's like, is the person that you're with someone who's going to help forge and do whatever it takes? Or is the person that you're with someone who wants to push the blame on you for the world's problems that you can't stop? And I think that kind of opened us up. And I think that's kind of what death does. As we look around now, everything in nature is starting to slowly die out. And it's symbolic and it's not symbolic at the same time because we're watching it die. We know it dies, but we always know that there's another regrowth behind it. And I think that kind of speaks to the spiritual soul when it comes to those sort of things, like, excuse me. There's always a regrowth after death, even if we're not here to experience it. And I think that's something that, like, when it comes to like shadow work and it comes to, doing your yearly evaluations, if you do that, if you don't, then, that's up to you. Me personally, I like to kind of take inventory of my life as I scrape away the excess goop and take what is not needed and get rid of it. And it's hard. Sometimes it's not easy, and you have to dig and you have to dig and you have to dig deep, which is kind of funny that I'm digging out this pumpkin and we're having this conversation because it honestly wasn't pre-planned. I just kind of, with these lives, I kind of go with wherever the flow takes me, and then, it is what it is. But I might have to get some partnership on this. I need like one of those spoons that has like the ridges up top. I don't know what they're called, but those are super handy when it comes to carving out pumpkin guts. But that doesn't really talk to spirituality now, does it? But then again, maybe it does, because having the right tools to do something, and realizing, hey, this may not work, but if I have the right tools, I can actually move forward or get rid of the thing that I'm afraid to get rid of. So I guess in hindsight, it does kind of line up in a weird, odd way. Metaphor for spoons for your life. Make sure you got the right ones. And if you don't, acquire those skills or those items and make it happen. Which I think says something about us all, really. We try to acquire the things that we think that will help us, but in the end, is it the items that help us, or is it the power that we gave that item that actually helps us? Now we're getting metaphorical and philosophical. What is it? What is it about the human mind that makes us want to stay in the same place and makes it hard for us to get out of it? The fear of being trapped. And the fear of not letting go. If we have a better spoon, I'd appreciate it. I'm guts deep and this sucks. Either that or it's because it's a pie pumpkin. I don't know what it is. By the way, there's a man behind the camera, as always. You may not see him, but he's there. That's who I'm talking to. The spirits in the house don't do much, except earlier I was trying to get one of the dogs out from underneath the bed. And normally I snap, like, hey, I snap, and then I call their name. Well, in my mind, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about the dog I was calling upon. And, there's just so much. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can see that. You see that? That's so annoying. But I was thinking about the dog I was going to call upon, and then I heard that snap. And I'm like, that's odd. The spirits are playing with me. They can't take out trash. They can't pay a bill. But they'll snap their fingers, walk up and down my stairs, and shut my doors whenever they feel like the need. I'm just saying. It would be nice if they would do something that I actually needed them to do instead of the things that they want to do. But I guess that's the afterlife. You get to choose and pick which things that you want to do and what you don't want to do. Or at least that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah. It's a time of transition. Transition really does scare people, though. See, I told you guys that would probably work. And can I get a towel or something with a little bit of water? Because the stickiness is getting to me. Let's try the ice cream scooper. It's so warm. Maybe it'll help. Digging in deep. Get a scoop of life. But like I told you guys, I'm a squirrel. I jump around. 1 minute I'm talking about pumpkin guts. The next minute I'm talking about life and, tools. And then you get randomness for 5 minutes and then I go back to it. So if you're new here to this channel, sorry. This is me. And as I play with pumpkin guts. And my pug snores beside me, but I don't know if you guys heard that. And I can't really move my computer at this moment, so I can get the light away from me. So it kind of is what it is.
What is it?
Well, if I lean this way and put my arm up this way, I'm good. But I'm trying to get these guts out. Look at this. It's so crazy. So crazy. Here, I got most of these out. You think you could do something with a spoon with that? You might have to wrench off the outside, but I got all the main stuff out. Sometimes you got to ask for help, and that's another thing we forget to do. We forget to ask for help. Why is that? Why is it that we want to be so, this may not work. Why is it that we want to be so independent, not dependent? Because if you were dependent, then you wouldn't be talking about what we're talking about. But so independent that we forget sometimes to ask for help. And I think it comes from childhood. I really do. Because we get told, no one's going to ever be doing this for you and stuff like that. But we also forget to take this step back and be like, hey, sometimes you need help. And the same thing goes in with our spiritual work. But I am going to say this. There is a difference from asking for help because you've tried everything, you've looked up everything, and you've actually tried, or asking for help and you haven't even put in the footwork to do it. Those are different, my dears. And I know some of you are looking at this right now and going, she's talking about me. Honey, I'm just giving you some life lessons. Sometimes you got to do the footwork. None of us wanted to do the footwork when we first started. Matter of fact, I grew up in the 90s. So when I was doing my witchy ways, I literally had to dig and search and go through these things that were like cards in a library and hope that I got books that were good information. So, that's why we're such sticklers about you got to do the footwork, you got to learn, because we had to do it. And if we had to do it, we're going to make you suffer just like we did just a little bit before we give you information. And if you can't handle the sacrifice, how the fuck are you going to work with deities and spirits? And that's just facts, Now, if you ask me something like, hey, what would be a good book for this? I'm not going to be like, well, go do the footwork. I'm going to be like, well, I've read this, but it might help you. And then you go on and you read it. Now, if you're the type of person that's like, but what can you just gist it for me? Can you tell me what it means? Then we're going to have issues. I gave you the path to go down. Take the damn path. Now, if you find that the book isn't something that you like, but if you look in the index in the back of the book and you're like, well, I'll try these other ones because, it's in the recommended reading where they got their source material. There's so much. And yeah. So, I know I'm all over the place, but basically what I'm saying is sometimes you got to take life into your own hands. You got to take out what you don't want. You got to be willing to put in the work because nothing comes for free. At least in the life that I've had, nothing comes for free. Unless it's like a promotion at McDonald's and you're going to have to spend some money on something to get something free. But, putting in the work, it's not always easy. It's a pain in the butt. There's a lot of times I don't want to do things in my practice that a deity may ask or whatever it may be. This one had a lot of seeds. And that's like some people. Sometimes, will you not eat the seed? I don't know if you can eat the seed. Don't eat the seed. I can't move anymore. There's a pug. I hope pumpkin seeds are good for dogs because you are trying. It's right there. You get it? I grew an arm.
No seed.
No. What is it? Just pumpkin?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I know you can eat pumpkin, but I don't really know about the seeds, my dear. And you can't have the seeds. I know you can't see the pug, but there is a pug. But that's kind of like this pumpkin. See, there was a lot of seeds in this one. The one previous didn't really have much. So sometimes there's a lot to unpack. Some things we don't want to, deal with the things that we got to unpack. If there's something about your spiritual journey, if it's not like, personality or whatever it may be, but more of like how you are. Like, let's say you're not the type of person that loves putting in the work. You just want to get it done and get it over with. Work on it. Make it one of your goals for this year. Not all goals have to be like, I want to speak from the Book of the Dead and bring life. Even though it's fun. But it doesn't mean that those automatically have to be your goals. Like, for me, other than, my normal goals that I set for myself every year, like working on, making sure I'm listening more, making sure, my temper isn't overweighing my judgment, because I am a Scorpio and I am Irish, and sometimes I get pissed and annoyed by stupidity. Not everybody has the same upbringings, and it's hard to get past certain things, which I'll admit, it's also hard to get past some of the sexism that you get from certain community leaders, where you can say something, and then as long as somebody with a penis says it, it actually makes sense. But when a woman says it, it doesn't make sense until it's put into a man's voice. That's the kind of stuff I don't like. And that's stuff you can't control. You can't control another person's actions, which I know that we all try to do. And I mean, realistically, many will say, well, that's what magic is, taking what you want and molding it. And depending on who you talk to, I mean, some believe that free will can't be infringed upon and you can't really do it. And some do believe that you can infringe on free will. Me personally, I think you can, but I think there's a lot more repercussions than what, did you guys see that? Than what people think. Oh, this is an awkward position to be in. That sun needs to just go away. But when we start talking about things like that, I was like, what are you doing? Oh, I was like, see, that is sad. Look how much you're getting out. And yeah, it's like a handful, like about this much. And he's got all that pumpkin. Yeah. But I was hoping that I would have some beautiful lovelies on here that I could talk to and answer some questions as always. But, you know, it happens. You got the pumpkin. And then I get to spend a great amount of time cleaning, getting the pumpkin seeds out, cleaning the pumpkin seeds, and then putting them into the water. Fun times. And that's another thing, like when it comes to the spooky season, you know, pumpkin seeds are great for eating, but they're also great for divination. And you're probably asking, how do you use pumpkin seeds for divination? Well, it's like anything else. I mean, you can make your own system out of it. Like, let's say if I have let's say I have 3 pumpkin seeds, right? And for each direction, I have a different thing, right? And then if they're clumped together, that means struggles coming from whatever direction it is. So let's say if I say from the west brings love, and it lands towards the directional of the west, then that would tell me, hey, there's some issues going on with love. Or if they're separated, then that tells me that there's a separation of love, whether it be friendship or whatever. So you can have fun with it. You just make it your own. Might even end up doing a video on it. I've only done it a few times, but it's fun to do. And that's the thing, like when it comes to resources and things like that, you got to deal with what you got. That's what witches have always done. We've always, you know, used what we had on hand or could trade or barter for. It's not like today where you go into the shop and be like, here's my money. You know what I mean? Like, we use what we had. It's not all about the glitz and the glam and everything like that. Which I know a lot of people hear it, but I mean, it's true. So, I mean, if you feel like you don't got enough for whatever it is, God, my hands are so sticky. No, it won't work. But if you ever feel like you're getting to the point to where you don't have the money for it, or you feel like you can never do what you want to do because of this or that, you got to realize you got to do with what you got. Which, it's kind of funny that I'm talking about this because literally last night I'm like, there's certain things I want to give Odin and stuff like that because he's been coming through a lot more. Will you wrench that off for me? Thank you. Oh, does that work better?
Seems good for me. You keep that one just in case.
Okay. So, you know, stuff like that. And he's like, well, you know, you can do different things. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like if I had to have something like that, I have to have this or I have to have that or whatever. And then realistically, the gods, in my opinion, totally my opinion. Some may disagree with this, whatever. But the experience I've had with the gods, as long as you're trying and you're doing what you can within your means, then no one can really say much to you. Not even the gods themselves. Like if they want you to have a statue that's this or that, then ask them to help provide it. Like if you're putting in the work and you're trying to stay back and, no matter what it is, it's just not working out or whatever, I might end up having to employ you for a cigarette and help with this because the gods are not working. See, sometimes it's good to ask for help. And I have to remind myself of some of the advice that I give sometimes because I get caught up in it too. You're not the only one. I sit there and think, I need this and I need that. Well, I really don't need it. I want it. And that's me putting my aesthetic on it instead of what I think that they would actually like. And I think that's with any religion. If you really think about it, we're monkey see, monkey do type of people. You know what I mean? So, if something is appealing to you, you automatically assume it's going to be appealing to your gods as well. Oh, there's so much still. The good thing is it's going to be so good. Oh, there's so much. But yeah, another thing I want to talk about, because, I told you guys I'm going to start talking to you more and more about my own purple personal practice is, over the last year, I've had a lot of deities come through. And when I say come through, I don't mean just hearing their voice. I mean full-on visions of seeing that deity or something that represents that deity in itself. And it's hard sometimes. Like, you don't have to work with every deity that comes through. But there's some that are persistent, like Odin. He has been very persistent. And I was telling my husband last night, I was like, I really don't get it. I'm more of Hellenistic. And I do have Norse coven members. So I'm like, maybe that's it, whatever. But then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, really, there's a lot of Norse around me and the Norse pagans. And, there's some Norse symbols that I actually love. But aesthetically, once again, personal preference, I'm not so much into the fur. I like fur, but it's not something that, I want. Some of the face painting stuff, like the warrior face painting, I'm not really into it. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. And I'm like, is it just the things that I've seen other people do that puts me off of the Norse path? Or is it because I think it's one way when really it's an individualized experience and I'm just putting what the whole monkey see, monkey do thing. Like you see it and you put this, stigma or whatever it is you associate with it. And I got to kind of catch myself sometimes because I'm like, I do these lives and I have discussions, and doing these lives is like a way for me to work out some of my stuff. Like, it's weird. It's like therapy. So it's like you guys are my little therapist and I get to talk to you and help you on your journey while helping myself on my journey. Hopefully that makes sense. And I think that's kind of what community does. I think it's I got most of it. If you'll help with the rest, I'll appreciate it. Oh, so gross. Give me a second, I can give you this. Just don't get the stringy bits in the sink. But that's what I'm saying. Like, with life, we all got to take a step back and try to figure out our own crap. And sometimes remind ourselves that the advice that we give, we should be taking for ourselves as well. And it's not that the advice I give I don't take. It's just sometimes I forget about the good advice that I do give. which now makes me sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm really not. It's just one of those things where it's like saying it out loud makes you think about the things that you've said. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm the only one that's had that kind of experience or whatever, but yeah. I mean, to me, it just kind of makes sense. By the way, I'm going to pre-roast these pumpkins beforehand to kind of let them cook some, and then add the stuffing to it, and then let it cook all the way because I don't want to burn the stuffing.
Right. I can't blame you there. Do you have that other spoony thing?
Yes.
I'll just try that.
I am sharing my spoony thing with the husband because that's what we do. We share. I share with you. He gives it back. Sometimes it's knowledge gained. Again. So I don't know. I think I'm going to be doing, needless to say, through that whole crazy rant, I'm going to be working with Odin, I think. He's been calling to me, and I'm like, all right, you've been persistent. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how it works. For the old father. And this has kind of been like a year thing. It's like almost full cycle. Because the first time that he came to me was during Yule. And I probably told the story more than once, but it sticks with me because it's one of those visions that you get and you just can't get it out of your mind. But I was doing my nightly mental meditation, just letting my mind wander like I tell you guys to do. I actually do it. Do it. Ha. Anyway, side of the point. So I'm sitting there. Well, not sitting there. I'm laying there and I'm just letting my mind go and wander and do whatever it's doing. The hubby's over here snawing the logs. Snoring logs, right? And all of a sudden, I get transported. And I'm in the middle of this huge field. And when I say huge, I mean huge. Surrounded by mountains. Covered in snow. The mountains are covered in snow. And I see this light up ahead. And so I start walking towards it. And it was in this mountain. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Well, the closer I get, I realize this mountain was like almost like a cabin built into a mountain. And it was pretty. The prettiest thing that I've ever seen. And the way the icicles were like hanging down from it and everything else, it was mesmerizing. And that was the first time that I had got a vision with Odin in it. And then the second time, once again, I was laying in bed, not thinking about anything, just kind of letting my mind wander. And he pops up again and just smiles. That's it. Simple as that. And then pops out. I'm like, okay. And then there's been little things here and there throughout the year. I've noticed like little symbols and signs of his. And I'm like, all right, you're calling to me. But I don't know. All right, you're calling to me. But I don't know. And I've gotten to the point to where he's wore me down enough to where I'm like, all right, I will give it a shot. We will see if this partnership works. If it does, then you've got a new ally. So we shall see how it works, and I'll tell you guys about it. I do plan to do a ritual with it, so it should be fun. Not with it, but with him. It sounds horrible, but I'm truly not meaning it that way. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Between trying to do videos and doing self-care and self-love and just trying to keep it together. And that's, as we get deeper into the darker months, it's harder to do with seasonal depression, everything else. And then, you get the stress of the holidays, especially if you got kids and you want to gift them something that, that they're going to love while keeping traditions alive. And I think that's an important thing. For those of you who want the recipe that I'm doing tonight, I will make sure that I link it down below for you guys if you want to try it out. Now, me personally, I'm not making my own stuffing tonight because I don't have the stuff. I'm actually using some box stuffing that I am going to make and then stuff actually into the pumpkin, and then probably add some like sausage, cook some sausage and potatoes up to kind of go with it. But eventually I will make a video on this channel showing you guys the process of how to make the homemade stuffing with the pumpkins and stuff. I kind of want to get into that on this channel. I kind of want to show you guys some, I guess witchy foods that I personally like to make, or things that I think fit into the season. Kind of like a pagan cooking segment on this channel occasionally here and there. So if that's something you guys would like to see, let me know, and I'll start doing that. I think that's all I got for you guys today. If you have any questions, like always, every Sunday we do like a talk like this, a Q&A. If no one's on here, then that's when I just ramble. Feel free to leave your comments down below. If you guys would, please subscribe, because I found out this week that I cannot go live from my phone until I have 1,000 followers. Until then, I have to do it on my computer, which makes it a wee bit hard and ridiculous, but it is what it is. So if you guys who are watching my videos would actually take the time and subscribe, I personally would appreciate it. And that's, your way of thanking me, I guess, in a weird way. Or share it with a friends or whatever. Because the bigger I can get this channel, the more I can actually do with this channel. So if you guys don't mind helping a little witch out, I'd appreciate it. Other than that, guys, always remember, no two witches, which I don't know why I put up. Peace. No. Always remember, no two witches, which the same. Bye, guys. Say bye.
Bye bye. Excuse.